Okay, so it's almost been roughly 10 years since Kesha debuted. She is on her fifth record, which I'm reviewing right now. It's called High Road, and it's absolutely amazing. So I really did start the new year covering Animal, and now I'm ending the first month of 2020 covering High Road. And one thing that I really noticed when I was reviewing Animal earlier was how much I missed old Kesha. I want to preface this by saying that I don't miss like $ Kesha, glitter everywhere, the aesthetics per se, so much as I miss the sonic joy that she brought, which was partially evident throughout Rainbow, but was a clear lacking presence. I feel like she finds a wonderful way of blending Rainbow and her previous music in this album. So without further ado, I'm going to get started with Tonight. If you're a stan, the first time you heard Tonight was through a snippet on Twitter with the opening chorus and the "Bitch We Going Out Tonight" drop at the beginning. When I first heard that snippet, I was super hyped for the entire record, and I thought the song was going to be my favorite. Unfortunately, on my end, it really didn't live up to the hype, mainly because the chorus that comes after the beautiful, immaculate piano chorus is really messy. The verses are relatively clever, but I was expecting something a little bit more polished, which I honestly shouldn't take out against the song because it's very clear that she wants to project authenticity. She doesn't really care about being immaculate or a pop princess anymore so much as she wants to make fun partying music, and having a pseudo-drunk verse chorus line definitely works and fits the vibe. The second to last chorus is what I was kind of expecting throughout the entire song, like a good blend of party vibes, but also like a little bit of polish. The song actually feels like a musical number. It's kind of like an opening number, like an opening act, like an introduction to a story. I think it's very clear why the song was not chosen to be the opening single for the record, and it makes sense that it isn't, but it's a relatively good thesis statement, a good opening statement. The next track is My Own Dance, which I really did not vibe with on my first listen. It took me a while to sort of grow into the song. I like it now, but I was slightly disappointed when I found out that Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons had a hand in writing this, and the chorus ended up being kind of underwhelming. The build up to the chorus is relatively great, and the verses are really smart and sharp and slick, and they showcase how well Kesha is at defining her own narrative and taking back her story, but the chorus really just doesn't do it for me, unfortunately. It's underwhelming, so yeah. The next song is Raising Hell, which we're all familiar with at this point. I really thought that it was gonna chart. I really thought it was gonna chart relatively well, hit top 40, and kind of be a smash, but then again, I don't think the world is ready for this type of music right now. But all I had to say about the song, I've already said in my 2019 wrap-up video, which you can watch. Just a quick rundown, I just think it's fun. It was a good opener. The feature's amazing. Then we get into the actual record cuts. I want to say that I really do like High Road. I think it's infectious and nostalgic, and I love the dinosaur-esque delivery, talk rap thing that she really works in well. I love the instrumental. One of my first thoughts when I first heard this track was that I thought that it was like an extended version of the bridge from TikTok in some ways, just the way that it sounds and its tone. Kesha really knows how to take control of a track and make it feel like she's conducting the track in real time. I love the interplay and awareness. Towards the end, she brings in the drums in a fun little touch that breaks the fourth wall, and the ending is just really groovy. It's going to be a fun part for the concerts. I initially thought that the outro was a interlude for Shadow, but it isn't an interlude for Shadow at all. It just does not tonally fit. Shadow is the first ballad of the record after 4 songs of just bangers, and it's not really on Praying's caliber per se, but I will say that it's really a well-made sort of 2012-2014 pop ballad. It has really fun callbacks to themes from old records. One thing I really like about this track is the use of ad-libs in the second verse. The build-up to the second chorus is just really exquisite. I always love her ability to sound vulnerable on any track, even tracks that speak on platitudes. The song is not really necessarily the deepest of the songs, but it's really her voice renders such emotion and such charm that it sells it. The bridge is great, as are the ad-libs in the final chorus. That's really all I have to say. It's a really pretty song, but I don't really get much out of it. I feel like Shadow's placement is a little bit jarring because the next track is Honey and it sounds very sonically different. I love how unpolished it sounds. The chorus to the track really makes me crack up. Not necessarily because of the subject matter, I understand that that's completely serious, but it feels like Backstabber's older sister. There's way more detail and way more soul to this track. There's definitely a unique kiss-off anthem vibe to it. I love the way that A's and O's, the melodies just add a lot. I think I finally get how people felt when they really liked Justin Bieber's song Love Yourself, because the song kind of reminds me of that, except it's done way better and just more real, at least to me. Speaking of real, Cowboy Blues, now that right there, it's just so tortured and real and chill, but somehow stressful. It reminds me of a Rainbow track. It feels like a successor to that vibe. There's a magical, relatable quality. This woman can write about anything and have it be the special, resonant, amazing, autobiographical thing that just really sticks with you. The harmony work is gorgeous. The background vocals flesh out the narrative feeling of lingering wistfulness reminiscent of old sad girl anthems that she used to make, but way more grounded this time around. I recall reading a comment somewhere saying that this is a blend of Speak Now, Taylor Swift, and her, and I think so. The song's like her last kiss, basically. That's how good it is. She just continues to emotionally body you because the next track is Resentment featuring Brian Wilson, WRABEL, and Sturgill Simpson. This track really feels real. The melodies and the sharp lyrics are just heartbreaking as fuck, and it just really is a weird shift from the last song, because the last song was this weird, wistful kind of thing about what if, and this is about something that did happen, something that happened and was awful and brutal, and, you know, she doesn't outright say that she hates this person for what they did to her, but she just resents them, which is even far worse. There's a really dreamy quality to the track, and the features definitely add a layer or energy to the track that really bolsters the message. I think it's really cool that she managed to get one of her heroes, Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, to feature on this track, as well as her friend WRABEL, and Sturgill, I guess, is some prominent guy. I think he's a country singer who's relatively popular and good at songwriting. So it's a slam dunk of a song, but it's not one of my favorites just because of how sad it is. Little Bit of Love is a song that feels like it would be a song in a commercial for maybe banking, or maybe a song that would play in a rom-com when a girl is like setting up her room or daydreaming about like some cute boy played by Noah Centineo. I think it's saccharine and cute and all these other things, but it's definitely one of the tracks that I really thought was filler, and it's the first track actually in the streak that it felt like filler, because My Own Dance wasn't my cup of tea, but it fleshed out the narrative of the album, her being honest and that sort of thing, and this track really doesn't really add much. It feels like a commercial kind of song. Now, that isn't bad at all. Everybody needs to get their coins somehow, but I don't know, this one felt really out of place. And whoop-de-doo, we're back to bangers, Birthday Suit with the 8-bit chords at the beginning and the lyrics that are so much fun. It's super silly. It feels like old Kesha, but a little bit evolved. Honestly, I can imagine this being a really cool music video at some point, just because of the way that the chorus comes in as a fun surprise and lends itself to the whole concept of being digitized. It's somehow nostalgic but fresh, and the ending riff is just way too much fun. This song also kind of threw me back to a classic unreleased Kesha song, Shots on the Hood of My Car. If you've listened to that song multiple times, the way that the little synths at the opening raise up kind of remind me of how the song works, but you know, it could just be my ears. Now, KINKY featuring Kesha with the $sign is when her talk rapping actually becomes really fun and works in the favor of the whole song. Now, I've always wanted her to sort of confront the dichotomy between her former persona and who she is now, and this track is a fun way of bringing these two vocal characters, herself and the caricature that she put herself in front of, kind of side by side to see how they mesh together, and it works well. I think if you remove the opening part, which is a talking word part, you can actually have a really radio ready single. The lyrics are pretty silly, but they definitely fit the context, and the rap that Kesha does, I don't know how she does it. She just magically flips a switch and she returns back to what she sounded like in the early 2010s. There's this sort of facetious way that she pronounces things that's tongue-in-cheek and fun and party girlish that is missing in her current tracks. It's this cocky sort of attitude. And it's really nice to see her kind of reclaim that for herself on her own terms. And that's what makes this song Kinky really fun. The next track is Potato Song, and it feels like it'd be a fun song for TikTok or a commercial. I'm not saying that it's completely bad, but the lyrics remind me of Miley's Dead Pets era, but actually stomachable or like tolerable to an extent. I love the instrumental, but this isn't really my sort of track. It's a little too weird for me. It feels like it would be a song in an animated musical sequence. It's kind of like if Olaf were made out of potatoes and like did a lot of acid, which makes it sound epic and amazing. And to some of you, I'm pretty sure it is. So it's just not my cup of tea. The next track is BFF featuring WRABEL, who is one of her best friends and frequent songwriter collaborators. He wrote a couple of tracks on Rainbow, and he is prominent throughout this entire album. He provides background vocals for a couple of tracks, and honestly, it makes really good solo music. I am so sorry if I butchered his name. I don't know if it's Rabel, because I had a teacher named Miss Rabel, and she taught stats, and she was like the sweetest, nicest, like southern country old lady. But I think I saw on Twitter it's Rebel, which makes way more sense. So I don't know, I'm just wasting time talking about this, but it's a fun track and the presence here is welcome. His voice sounds so smooth. I found myself wondering, was this autobiographical? But by the second verse, I realized that they were talking about things that really happened to them. And it's just so sweet being able to find out little details about people's friendships. I feel like that's something music tends to overlook. Everybody just goes for, romance and that shit. And nobody really talks about the magical power of friendship in the way that the song does. The chorus and the synth vocals are definitely on point. The instrumental definitely hammers in this dreamy, I'm gonna spend my day hanging out with my friend doing nothing vibes. I'm not going to say that this is a standout track for me, but it's definitely one of the songs that stuck with me on first listen. Maybe it'll end up being one of my favorite songs down the line. Now, the last two tracks on the standard version of the record, before she added Summer, a song that she just mixed maybe a week ago, according to her Instagram, these songs are probably the realest, rawest songs on the record, at least to me, and the placement of them definitely makes sense until she added in Summer. Father-Daughter Dance is depressing as hell. I think this is one of the realest tracks that she's ever rendered for us. I really like this track mainly because it reinforces my theory that this is very much a confessional record in many senses. I would have mentioned this earlier, but I just started thinking about it as I was recording. This feels like a record where she really does dish to us her darkest insecurities, what ifs and wonders. This track in particular is very, very powerful in that she questions what it really means to have a father figure in her life and how the absence of that affects her moving forward in a way that doesn't feel cliche and has specific details and facets. Like, there's a moment where she wonders if she's ever going to have a kid, or if she doesn't want to be what her father was to her, or something that kind of screwed her up in a way. And it's just so real and honest and true, and it's definitely kind of a downer. Not as much of a downer as other tracks that she's released in the past before, but, to some people this is really going to hit home hard because it's something that, happens. And the last track, until she added Summer, is Chasing Thunder, which is a showcase of her songwriting genius. It feels like a Disney Princess I Want song, but distinctly her. The chorus is incredible, and the ad-libs are gorgeous, and it's just a song about being free and wild. And I read in an interview somewhere or a review that the song is supposed to be dedicated to the daughter or son or child that she may or may not have in the future. And it's such a brilliant song in that it really feels like an heirloom of a song if you read the lyrics, because she opens talking about her grandmother, presumably talking about, well, her mom and maybe herself in a way. It feels like this intergenerational triumph. It's like storytelling, myth crafting of oneself, and that's something that she's always excelled at and why I've really stayed a stan throughout the years. The last track, which is a happy edition produced by Ryan Lewis from when Macklemore used to make music with Ryan Lewis, and I really like the song. It's a wistful banger. It's a fun little addition. I just really don't like that it comes after Chasing Thunder, because Chasing Thunder really feels like a album closer. It feels like a finishing statement. Summer is a fun track, and I'm happy that Kesha was able to release it. I think it was slated to be released on the Japanese version, and she added it on for us, and any music that's additional is a gift to us. I really don't have much to say about this track, just because it feels like it's territory that we've seen before. It kind of reminds me of a few songs from Rainbow, and that's always a welcome addition. I mean, overall, this is a very solid record. I'm so glad that Kesha was able to release it. I hope the best for it. I hope it charts well. I hope that its songs are a success. I hope that the tour is amazing. I think I'm gonna go get tickets to see her in Miami. So if any of you guys are attending the Miami concert, hit me up. I might be in town for that. All in all, it's a great record. It's overall like kind of a comeback in ways of old Kesha with new Kesha. It's what she promised it'd be like, and it's really fun, but also existential and weird. It's a little all over the place here and there. The track placements didn't really make too much sense to me, so it doesn't sound completely cohesive. But then again, I don't think she cares about being cohesive. I think she cares about making authentic, real, happy music, and she's done it, and she's successful at it, and I can't wait to see what else she drops in the future. And if you stayed here long enough, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on my social media channels, comment what your favorite track was, fight me on something that I said, correct something that I mispronounced, call me a basic white gay despite the fact that I am Filipino Chinese and monotone and kind of dead inside. So, just go for it. I don't really care. Thanks, and I guess I'll see you soon because I keep on making these.